Howdy everybody and welcome back to the Willie St. Willie channel once again, and I just got done finished watching HaHa, You Clowns. It's a pretty popular Adult Swim show that's almost kind of like a wholesome riff on 90s sitcoms following the exploits of a dad trying to raise his three dim-witted but well-meaning boys. It's created by Cappa, which is a pretty popular YouTube animator who I followed for years, and I love all of his videos and shorts, especially his Scooby Gang 1. That was the first one I saw, not just because it's funny and quotable, but it also introduced me to some pretty good music, you know, the tasty licks of Delicate Steve. Sire? Did someone take Scooby snacks? Oh, we got a live one. Now, some people hate on the show for its simple animation style, but for the most part, most people I've seen rave about it, saying they love the positive masculinity representation or how it's become their new wholesome favorite comfort show. And to that I say, have we been watching the same show? And no, this isn't an early April Fool's joke. I truly believe beneath the facade that HaHa, You Clowns is a horror show. This video is sponsored by Manta Sleep. Now guys, if you're a ghoulish creature of the night like me, you probably have a hard time getting good sleep. Well, luckily for us, the absolute rock stars over at Manta Sleep have a solution. Manta Sleep provides a wide variety of top-of-the-line blackout masks, each equipped with their own comfortable eye cushions and accessories. Like the stuff they sent me with my very own pro sleep mask, eye cooling cups, and a groovy little noisemaker. And guys, well, I don't mean to brag, but after using the cooling cups to help get rid of my disgusting puffy eyes and also taking advantage of the sleep mask premium feel, well, let's just say my sleep's never been better. But regardless of your sleeping needs, I know Manta Sleep will have the perfect accessory for you. So if you want to upgrade your sleep to the next level, then I highly recommend you go and use code saintwilly at checkout for 10% off your first order. That's code saintwilly at checkout, 10% off your first order. And actually, that's not a recommendation. You're gonna do it. I'm ordering you. You will buy a Manta Sleep mask. You will buy a Manta Sleep mask. You will buy a Manta Sleep mask. Thank you to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. So without further ado, back to the video. But Willie, you say, surely you're wrong, or you're just a clown yourself and you're trying to get a laugh out of us. Well, that may be the case. This is all just my opinion based on the contextual evidence of the show. And to that I say, don't interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake, because I might look like a fool in retrospect when the next season comes out. But allow me to explain myself. Now, before I address the show itself, I have to also explain this. In case you didn't know, Cappa basically had two precursors to what eventually became HaHa, You Clowns. It was a short Halloween special animation he made, parodying Home Improvement, that was pretty funny and just kind of a joke, making fun of Home Improvement and positive family sitcoms, with the dad being a dick and one of the sons spazzing and seizing out at the end as like just a haha funny random joke. But he also had a pseudo-pilot mini-web series for HaHa, You Clowns uploaded to his main YouTube channel that was a lot more direct with the horror elements of the show. Now, the Adult Swim show and the YouTube shorts are pretty much the same setting and premise, with the main glaring difference being that the mom is most definitely a poltergeist haunting the house. Now, obviously, the dad and the boys are traumatized by the mom's death, and even though the poltergeist mom aspect is mostly played for a joke, it's still kind of eerie, with things like objects being moved in the house, or the mob's ghost trying to drown like Preston in the pool. Like, there are so many examples of that in the mini web series that don't really translate into the Adult Swim show itself, at least not obviously. Now, even though moments like in the YouTube shorts with demonic whispering or whistles playing by themselves are basically brushed off with wholesome positivity, like the dad joking about, oh, your mom's powers are growing, maybe she can give your uncle some lessons, play the whistle, like things like that. In the show, even though there's not very many obvious instances of the mom haunting them like in the YouTube version, there are still some similarities. And to get out of the way, the most obvious one, yes, at the end of the pilot episode in Mom's she shed, there is a foggy handprint that gets placed over the window. But I think that's more so a wholesome moment of symbolizing the mom just watching over the boys. The show's approach to the horror elements is a lot more subtle than the comedic factors of the YouTube web series. And one that's prevalent in pretty much every episode I saw is the fact that whenever mom is brought up, the character's eyes get red. And usually this involves a sad or angry conversation involving her. And like again, their eyes are always red, which is very strange because that's definitely a choice. And as I progress throughout the season, I notice more and more details that lead me to believe that there's going to be some sort of horror payoff, whether it be in the second or third season of the show. Now, even though the episodes never have this meat canyon level horror twist that you think is coming, considering the animation style and the nature of many YouTube animators, there is still this very overwhelming sense of dread as I watch them that just gets worse the further along I get in the show. Now, like I said, it starts off really subtle, like in the earlier episodes where Duncan tries to hold a baby and he's almost kills it because he's worried about dropping it and passes out, but also how the boys basically gang up and bully, like very mean-spiritedly bully their dental assistant's husband, who is a global war on terrorism in Afghanistan like vet, who clearly probably has some PTSD as he doesn't really talk much and is actually genuinely kind to Duncan when he goes through his, episode of not knowing how to deal with babies. And at first you can kind of brush it off that it's them just being oblivious and there's being dim-witted boys, but it goes further than that. Like another example when Preston loses his bomber jacket. Now clearly the bomber jacket, is a gift from their dead mother, and when he loses it, he just completely cuts himself off from the family and his girlfriend, and is just overall basically a real jerk to everyone around him. And in typical sitcom family fashion, he eventually does get the jacket back, but how he gets it back is the messed up part, because the dude who stole it got into a shootout with the police and died in the jacket, and there's blood staining the jacket. It was at this point of me viewing it that I started to realize that, this is intentional. This is like an overlooming sense of dread and trauma that looms over this show. And then I started noticing it in pretty much every episode, like with Bree having a schizophrenic episode in their house, or how the boys basically get like Legionnaire's disease or something from a hot tub and almost die and start hallucinating. Pretty horrifically and vividly, I might add. And all this to say that I think the show is slowly building up to introducing more and more horror elements within the show, with the overall theme being trauma and trying to live with it and overcome it as the spirit and presence of their mother continues to haunt them. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be something over the top and dramatic, like their mom is going to rise from the grave like a zombie and murder the whole family. No, I think it's going to be more, probably still played for laughs, I think, ultimately, but I don't know. It might go a whole different direction. And either way, it would be pretty funny. I would love it. I, for one, love this show. The dry humor, the animation. I just think it's really fun. And whether or not I'm just a freakazoid maniac trying to spread these dumb theories, or if I am actually onto something, it doesn't really matter. Either way, I'm going to enjoy the direction of the show. What's funny is a buddy of mine had to actually point out these horror elements to me because I was completely oblivious upon watching the first couple episodes, and we're talking about it. I just kind of looked at him like, say that again? Because it was almost like a sleeper agent trigger. The moment he said that, I started to just remember details that I totally forgot about. And guys, as always, please go and support the original creators. I'll leave a link in the description below to Joe Cappa's YouTube channel. Go watch HaHa, You Clowns on AdultSwim. It's streaming on HBO Max. And, well, all I have to say is, well, Tom did a hell of a good job raising them boys. That's all I got to say about that.